Today, the eyes and ears of the 21st century are focused on new developments, new technologies, new emerging companies. We're on the scene to bring it to you as it happens.
We anchor from our new studios in Los Angeles and then go out all over America to get to the heart of the story.
I'm Bert Tenzer.
I'm Bella Shaw.
I'm Doug Llewellyn.
And I'm William Shatner, and this is Heartbeat of America. Since 2001, our television series has been featuring entrepreneurial companies that move our country and our economy forward. Standing by at our studios in Los Angeles is one such company. Welcome. Good to have you with us. All right, let's begin by telling me what you do and who benefits from it.
Our company develops voice technologies, forensic voice technologies for law enforcement, the U.S. military, and private industry.
Well, you're obviously successful. So what do you attribute your success to? Any particular philosophies or strategies?
We've become the undisputed leader in our field basically because our technology is the best in the world. We spend a tremendous amount of resources on research and development, and in fact, it's so unique we've received a patent on it.
Now, stay with us. There's more to come.
Thank you very much, William. Now, I'm Doug Llewellyn here in our Los Angeles studio. You know, since the very beginning of time, it has been vitally important to both our domestic and national security to be able to make decisions based on information that we receive. And for many years, the old polygraph was the only tool available to both law enforcement and intelligence organizations in the military to screen individuals that were accused of crimes, as well as validating intelligence, especially in time-sensitive situations, whether it was on the border or in airports or on the battlefield. The computer voice stress analyzer, which has been developed by our next guest, has really revolutionized the field of truth verification and validating information. It is an amazing crime-fighting tool, and it was deemed so unique it was recently awarded a patent by the U.S. Patent Office. You've already met our guest, at least you've seen him. He is the developer of this technology, and I'm going to formally introduce him to you now. He is the chairman and the CEO of an organization known as NITV. And NITV stands for the National Institute for Truth Verification. It's a very interesting name, to say the least. It's headquartered in West Palm Beach, Florida, and here he is once again, Mr. Charles Humble. Mr. Humble, welcome. Nice to have you here.
Thanks so much for having me.
You know, we really didn't get much of an idea of exactly what it is you do when you were talking to Bill Shatner. Let's find out specifically what your organization is all about. Explain to me just how the computer is used in what you do and what the voice stress analyzer does. What is this?
Well, Doug, the computer voice stress analyzer, or CVSA, is simply software-based, loaded onto a laptop computer, and it simply takes the voice frequencies and measures those voice frequencies, amplitude modulation and frequency modulation. When stress occurs in the brain, the frequency modulation starts to dissipate. The software then takes those frequencies, measures those, and puts them out as in the form of a graph on a computer.
Okay, so you're seeing a readout in front of you. What is that readout telling you?
Well, the readout basically, the patterns are very easy to read. The readout is telling us how much stress the person is under at the point of utterance. With the old polygraph, we would measure the breathing, the galvanic skin response, the pulse, and that would tell us how much stress the person was under when they answered a question. With the CVSA, we're actually using brain stress activity to do the same monitoring, the voice, in other words, to do the same monitoring.
Now, when you refer to the polygraph, that really, it's the old lie detector, right?
Yes, that's
same
correct.
thing.
That's correct.
This, in essence, is more effective than the lie detector, right?
1,800 law enforcement agencies, including most metropolitan agencies and the U.S. military special forces, have adopted this, and the vast majority have simply discontinued the polygraph. You know, the polygraph is inconclusive 30 to 40% of the time. It takes 2 to 3 hours to conduct a polygraph examination. With the CVSA, and by the way, we've been in business for 20 years now. This didn't happen overnight. The CVSA takes about 45 minutes to an hour to conduct an exam, and there are no inconclusives. In other words, as a polygraphist, I'm a trained polygraphist, and we can run about 2 exams a day. 30 to 40% of those are inconclusive. As a CVSA examiner, any CVSA examiner can run 5 to 6 exams a day and always get a positive result. And this is partially based on the fact that we have a scoring algorithm, an automatic scoring algorithm that at the end of the interview tells the examiner where deception was found, if any was found.
And is it, I mean, in general, every time you've used this, has it turned out to be accurate?
Well, we just got a report from Iraq, from the Special Forces there. They just completed 200 examinations, and they found it to be 100% accurate. That's coming from them, not us. We claim it's about 98% accurate, but that's from field reports. That's from all the law enforcement agencies that report back to us. The Department of Defense last year did a survey of law enforcement agencies that utilize the CVSA. I think it was somewhere around 85% called it extremely accurate or very accurate.
And is this because when somebody is lying to you, telling you a non-truth, they cannot hide it? It shows somewhere in their voice pattern when it is being read by the computer?
That's correct. It's not something you can control. For instance, on the polygraph, we have a lot of countermeasures people utilize against the polygraph. That's why it goes inconclusive.
It can be fooled.
It can be fooled, or at least it does not pick up the monitoring does not pick up the deception.
Right.
And so therefore the polygraphist has to call it inconclusive. There's not enough of a variance there for him to say, gee, there's too much stress, so that must be deception.
Okay.
With the CVSA, we don't have the countermeasure problem. Drugs don't affect it, and therefore you get 100% conclusive results, whether the person did it or didn't do it.
When you conduct a test with it, give me an idea of how you conduct that kind of a test.
Well, it's fairly simple. Another benefit of the CVSA is that we can conduct a CVSA exam almost anywhere. I mean, the Special Forces is using this on the battlefield, gaining actionable intelligence on the battlefield with the CVSA, going from house to house, basically. With the polygraph, we have to have a sterile environment. You get wired into the, it's very difficult. With the CVSA, you simply sit down in any office or your kitchen or wherever. Distractions don't really bother it. You simply sit down and have a conversation, much like we're having now.
Right.
At the end of the conversation, I simply go over a list of questions I'd like to ask you. There's a little microphone clipped to your lapel. And we go over those at the end, and then the computer comes back and gives me the results. Based on those results, I take my questioning and I start going in a certain area. I like to call it, it's like a flashlight on a dark night. If you've ever been out in the Midwest in the woods with no stars and no moon, you have to move very slowly, you'll hurt yourself. And you may not get to where you're going. If you had a flashlight, you'd move very quickly and always get where you're going. The CVSA has been described by the law enforcement agencies that use it as like a flashlight on a dark night.
And where is it being used? You said it's been around for a while. You developed this technology, by the way.
Yes, in 1986, I started working on the CVSA. I started my law enforcement career in 1969 with the Indianapolis Police Department.
Right.
And I was trained as a voice stress examiner and a polygraphist. And I saw that the voice stress had so many advantages over the polygraph. In 1986, I started working on the CVSA. I debuted it in 1988. And since that time, like I said, 1,800 departments use it, including U.S. military. Now, you ask, where is it being used? The California Highway Patrol has 32 of our systems. They've been using it for 7 years. The Atlanta Police has our system, Nashville Police, Indianapolis Police, Miami-Dade Police. The list goes on and on. Most major metropolitan departments have it.
It's an absolutely fascinating story. And the other thing, there is a big cost advantage for police departments to use this versus the old polygraph technology, isn't there?
There sure is. It's the cost of the CVSA versus the polygraph, when you figure in training for one individual, is about half. And the work production the examiner can do is 3 to 4 times as much. And again, when you factor in you don't have the inconclusive results, and the fact that you can take this system and analyze tape-recorded conversations. You can even, it's not something we teach a lot, but you can even use it over the telephone. And a lot of agencies do that because they can't get the individuals to come in for interviews or whatever. And so they conduct an interview over the phone, basically.
Charles, that's a very interesting point of view. We're going to get another point of view now from a retired chief of police who is standing by in West Palm Beach, Florida. His name is Chief Bill Endler. He was with one of the Indiana police departments. He also happens to be a senior instructor for NITV. Chief, it's very nice to have you with us. I have a quick question for you. I know that you were a polygraph examiner as well as a CVSA examiner, and I'm really intrigued to know why you made the switch and how effective you have found it to be.
First of all, it's great to be with you, Doug. And yes, I was a polygraph examiner for a law enforcement agency in the state of Indiana for many years. And I switched because of many of the reasons that have been previously discussed, especially the accuracy and ease of use. One great benefit that really hasn't been mentioned is the CVSA's ability to be used on tape-recorded conversations. This enhances greatly the usefulness of the CVSA.
Chief, I understand that you were sent to Iraq as an expert in the use of the CVSA technology, and that you tested members of Saddam Hussein's government, family, in fact. And other than what is classified, what can you tell us about that?
I was asked to test many of the top officials, including the vice president, the foreign minister, and Saddam's brother, concerning their involvement in the atrocities created by the Saddam Hussein regime. And I was requested to test these individuals because all previous interviewers had failed to gain any useful information.
And what were you actually able to do with the CVSA?
Through the use of the CVSA and the proprietary interview techniques taught by NITV, I was able to gain a tremendous amount of actionable intelligence, which was very useful to the Allied forces in taking down many terrorist cells.
Chief, besides training law enforcement, I also understand that you went to Iraq and you are one of the NITV's top trainers in the use of the CVSA. How is it now being used there? What's the story on that?
From the intelligence that we received, the Special Forces are utilizing the CVSA on the battlefield to validate time-sensitive information as well as force protection. Although a lot of the feedback that we get is classified, I can tell you that the CVSA is one of the most sought-after tools by our Special Forces in Iraq because it's been so successful for them.
Thank you very much, Chief. It's been a pleasure having you with us. For more information on this company's services and their product, you can find it on the web. Their address is www.nitv1.com.